Hey, my name is Ethan. I'm 27. And for 3 months this summer, I was a lifeguard at a gated community pool where the woman who watched me from behind her sunglasses was also my landlord, and the married board president who could have ended my whole summer with one phone call. The day I said, "I saw you watching me," she lowered her sunglasses and said, "You didn't look away either." That's when the chlorine and gold bangles and late-night swim lessons became the only thing I could think about. She told me once, standing chest-deep in water during a storm, that the pool was the only place she felt like herself anymore. If you're watching this right now, tell me where you're from in the comments. Because I still don't know if what we did was wrong. I watched her from the lifeguard stand for 3 days before she said anything. Black one-piece, oversized hat, gold bangles that caught the light every time she adjusted her sunglasses. She never got in the water, just watched. Me, mostly. Sometimes the kids in the shallow end, but mostly me. I told myself I was imagining it. Rich wives get bored. They stare at the help because we're part of the scenery, like the potted palms by the clubhouse or the depth markers painted on concrete. But on the 3rd day, when I climbed down from the stand to check the deck, I walked past her chair and let myself say it. "I saw you watching me." She looked up slow, lowered her sunglasses just enough that I could see her eyes. Dark brown. Tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. "You didn't look away either." Then she slid the glasses back up and went back to her book. Like she'd just told me the time or commented on the weather. I walked away pretending my heart wasn't pounding. That night, I biked out of the gated community and noticed the same black SUV turning out behind me. I didn't think much of it, just noted it. The way you note things that feel like they might mean something later. The apartment was cheap for a reason. Converted garage behind someone's big house, tiny kitchen. Faint smell of fresh paint trying to cover up years of oil stains and lawnmower exhaust. But it was walking distance to the pool, and I could almost afford it on a grad student budget plus lifeguard wages. I was hauling boxes from my car when the black SUV pulled into the driveway. She stepped out wearing leggings and a loose sweater. No hat this time. Hair pulled back, still unmistakable. We recognized each other at the exact same second. "You're the lifeguard. You're my landlord?" She nodded once, extended her hand like we were meeting for the first time. Professional, careful. "Monica Harris. My husband Greg and I own the property. Welcome." Her grip was firm, her palm was soft. I noticed the wedding ring. Thick gold band, small diamond, worn smooth at the edges. She walked me around the property, showed me the gate to the pool path, pointed out the sprinkler system, explained the rules about noise and parking and keeping the side yard clear. Her voice had that bored president polish. Every word chosen, every boundary drawn. But when she mentioned her husband, something in her tone went flat. Like she was reading from a script she'd memorized too well. "My husband works long hours, early mornings, late calls. We'd appreciate if you kept things quiet after 10. "Of course. The rent's due on the 1st, check or Venmo. Any maintenance issues, text this number." She handed me a card. "That's the property line. Don't use the main house driveway." I nodded. Took the card. Our fingers didn't touch. That night, I sat on my narrow bed and looked out the window at the big house. Lights on in the kitchen, her silhouette moving through the frame. A taller shadow. Greg, I assumed, passing behind her but not stopping. The sprinklers kicked on with that steady tick-tick-tick. Automatic, perfectly timed. I realized the woman who watched me at the pool owned the place where I slept. The staff meeting was 8 a.m. sharp. Me, Luis, the other lifeguard, and the pool manager crowded into the equipment room that smelled like chlorine tablets and rust. The manager tapped a photo taped to the clipboard. HOA board. Official portrait. This is who pays your checks. Mrs. Harris runs this pool. Mr. Harris backs her up. Mrs. Klein watches everything and reports back. You smile. You follow rules. You don't give them reasons to complain. Clear? Luis raised his hand. What if they complain anyway? Then you smile harder. I stared at the photo. Monica in the center, composed, serious. Greg beside her in a suit. Mrs. Klein in the back looking like she enjoyed finding problems. Luis leaned over after the meeting. Bored ladies love to look, man. Especially the lonely ones. Just don't look back too hard, you know? Got it. But I didn't got it. Because that afternoon, Monica showed up in a conservative one-piece and a wide-brimmed hat, picked a chair within perfect sightline of my stand, and pretended to read a book she never turned the pages of. I blew the whistle for Adult Swim. Our eyes met. She didn't look away. This time neither did I. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She kept the same chair, same time, same book, the pool filled with the usual chaos. Kids cannonballing, older residents doing slow laps, Mrs. Klein in a floral swim cap, doing breaststroke while scanning the deck like a security guard. Luis flirted with a group of college girls who came in the afternoons. I stayed on the stand, watched the water, watched Monica watch me. One afternoon, another woman joined her. Younger, louder, more relaxed. Girl, you've been out here every day this week. Greg finally let you have a life? Monica's laugh was quiet. He's busy. I'm enjoying the sun. Enjoying something. I caught pieces of their conversation drifting over the water. Charity events, long hours, pressure to look perfect. Be perfect. Keep everything perfect. The friend, Tiana, I learned later, had an easy warmth. Monica seemed lighter around her, less composed, almost soft. But when Tiana left, the wall went back up. That evening, the sky turned orange. I looked down from the stand and caught Monica staring at a group of teenagers splashing in the shallow end. Her face was unguarded for once, sad in a way that made my chest hurt. When she noticed me watching her, she looked away first. It was the only time. Saturday afternoon. Quiet after a busy morning. Luis had left early. I was alone for the last hour. Monica sat in her usual spot wearing the black one-piece under a cream-colored cover-up, gold bangles, hair loose. I walked over during a lull, pretended to check the depth markers, stopped near her chair. I saw you watching me. She looked up, almost smiled. You didn't look away either. This time it wasn't deflection. It was acknowledgement. How's the apartment? She asked. Small, but it works. Ethan, right? From the lease. Yeah, and you're Mrs. Harris. The title sat between us like a wall. She heard it too. Monica's fine, when we're not at board meetings. I nodded, started to walk back. Then she said something that stopped me. Do you do private lessons? For adults? Sometimes. Why? Some board members have asked in the past. I was just wondering how that works. Depends on the person, what they need. She nodded slowly, tucked hair behind her ear. The bangles clinked. Good to know. I walked back to the stand, feeling her eyes on my shoulders. That night, Tiana showed up again. I was closing the pool. I heard voices near the gate. If anyone here sees you looking happy with some young lifeguard, Greg's whole campaign narrative goes out the window. My hand froze on the lock. I'm not looking happy. I'm not looking at anything. Girl, I've known you 15 years. You're looking. They walked away. I stayed still until I couldn't hear the click of their sandals anymore. Campaign narrative, political ambitions, image management. I wasn't just the help, I was a potential scandal. The next evening, my email pinged. Monica Harris, subject line, lease question. Can we review some details in person? Tomorrow morning works if you're available. Formal. Careful. But the timing felt deliberate. I showed up at her front door at 10 a.m. She answered in jeans and a simple blouse. No jewelry except the wedding ring. The inside of the house was exactly what I expected. Expensive. Neat. Family photos where Greg was always centered. Perfect lighting. Perfect angles. Nothing out of place. We sat at the kitchen table. She had a printed lease, a pen, a yellow highlighter. I wanted to go over noise ordinances, parking, guest policies. She highlighted sections, asked polite questions. Where was I from? What was I studying? Did I like the neighborhood? I answered, asked a few back, learned she'd been a paralegal before marrying Greg, that she'd worked at the courthouse for years. The house was too quiet. No TV, no music, just the ticking of a wall clock in the hallway. Greg's at the office, she said, though I hadn't asked. Sundays are his catch-up days. Must be busy? He is. Another silence, longer this time. Then she asked about the swim lessons again, more directly. I never learned properly, as a kid, and now... She trailed off. I'd only feel comfortable after hours, once the pool is closed, if that's even allowed. It's allowed, if it's board approved. She almost smiled. I'm the board. Then I guess it's approved. We agreed on a rate, a schedule. She insisted no one on staff should know. I insisted it was about getting her comfortable in the water, nothing more. She stood, walked me to the door. Our fingers brushed when she handed me the printed lease. See you tomorrow night, she said quietly. I nodded, stepped back into the sunlight, looked back once. She was still in the doorway, watching me go. I met Greg that Wednesday. I pulled into the driveway after class and he was there. On his phone, suit jacket over one arm. Didn't look up. Evening. He glanced over, sized me up in one sweep. You're the tenant, Ethan. Yes, sir. Keep the noise down. I have early calls, late calls, need to focus. He said it like he was giving a deposition, factual, no warmth. No problem. He got in his car, drove off. Never asked my name again. That night, I sat on my bed and thought about the difference between the Greg in the framed photos and the Greg who couldn't be bothered to shake my hand. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Monica. Different line. Still available for tomorrow night? Yeah. 9:45? Perfect. I'll unlock the side door. No names, no signatures, just logistics. I lay awake that night listening to the sprinklers, wondering what the hell I was doing. The pool lights were off when I arrived, only the underwater glow casting blue shadows on the concrete, the filtration hum louder without the daytime noise. The door clicked open at 9:43. Monica stepped inside, wearing the black one-piece under the cream cover-up, hair pinned up, small bag over her shoulder. She locked the door behind her. Thank you for this. Of course. We started in the shallow end. I kept it professional, asked how deep she was comfortable going, what made her nervous, whether she'd ever put her face under. She was stiff at first, self-conscious, kept adjusting the straps of her suit. Wouldn't make eye contact. I haven't done this since I was a teenager, she said quietly. Before Greg made partner. Before everything. What changed? I started worrying about my hair, my body, what people expected a lawyer's wife to look like. I showed her how to float, supported her back with both hands, felt her weight settle into my palms. She tensed, then slowly relaxed. You're safe. I've got you. She exhaled, let her head fall back, stared up at the dark ceiling. This is the only place in this neighborhood where no one is asking me for anything. I didn't answer, just held her steady. We worked for 30 minutes. Basic kicks, breathing, trust. When she started shivering, I grabbed a towel from the stack and draped it over her shoulders. The gesture felt too intimate, too familiar, but she didn't pull away. "Same time tomorrow?" she asked. "If you want." "I want." We left separately. She took the main door. I waited 5 minutes and slipped out the side. Back in my apartment, I lay on the bed. Hair still damp, room smelling like chlorine and a faint trace of her perfume. I couldn't sleep. Luis noticed the lights the next morning. "Pool was lit up late last night. You working overtime?" "Maintenance check." "Huh. Weird. Thought the manager handled that." He didn't push, but his eyes lingered. That night, Monica came back. We were more comfortable. She joked about my serious lifeguard face. I teased her about her cautious strokes. More small touches, adjusting her arms, guiding her kicks, hands on her waist to correct her posture. Everyone lasted a second too long. After we sat on the edge of the pool, feet in the water, she told me about Greg's campaign plans, his donor dinners, the pressure to be the perfect supportive wife. I told her about feeling like an actor in this neighborhood, always waiting for someone to tell me I didn't belong. "You belong," she said softly. "Do I?" She didn't answer. When I locked up, I spotted Mrs. Klein's window, curtains moving, light on. Someone was watching. The next week blurred into routine. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every night, the same pattern. She arrived at 9:45. We worked in the water. We talked after. Monday, she struggled with floating. I supported her back with both hands, felt how much she trusted me in that moment. Tuesday afternoon, she showed up during regular hours for the first time since lessons began, sat far from my stand, barely looked at me. Wednesday night, we shared vending machine snacks after the lesson, talked about music, childhood summers, normal things. Thursday morning, I saw the keycard logs in the staff office. Monica's entries listed, late, traceable. Luis started making jokes. "Board perks, huh? VIPs wanting special attention?" I laughed it off, but the walls were closing in. Thursday night ended with Monica sitting at the pool's edge, feet dangling, looking at the water like it held answers. "This is the only place in this neighborhood where no one is asking me for anything," she repeated. I sat beside her, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. "I'm not asking either." "I know." The filter hummed. The underwater lights rippled across her legs. Neither of us moved. Friday night, she arrived looking nervous. We went through the lesson. Then she stopped in the shallow end. Turned to me. "I recognized your name on the rental application." I froze. "What?" "Your mother. She worked at the courthouse. With me. Years ago." Monica's voice was steady, careful. "She had a photo of you on her desk. You were maybe 10. My chest tightened. "You knew her?" "I did. She talked about you all the time." She paused. "When I saw your application, I pushed the board to approve it. I told myself I was helping out an old coworker's son. But I don't think that's the only reason." We stood there, chest-deep water between us and the rest of the world. "You've been watching me longer than I thought," I said quietly. "I know." "Why?" She shook her head, looked away. "I don't know if I can answer that honestly." After the lesson, I walked her to the locker area. Empty hallways, echoing tile. She adjusted her cover-up. I stood too close, our hands hung at our sides, inches apart. Neither of us closed the gap. Neither of us pulled away. Same time tomorrow? She whispered. Yeah. I watched her leave. Then I sat on the pool deck for 20 minutes, staring at the water, trying to sort out what I was feeling. Later, in my apartment, I typed out a long text. Honest. Raw. About what it meant to know she'd been looking out for me before we even met. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I deleted it. Some things don't need to be said out loud to be true. Saturday. Storm clouds building all afternoon. The pool was packed. Humid air pressing down. Thunder rumbling in the distance. Monica didn't come during the day, but she texted from the second number. Still on for tonight, despite the weather? Yeah, if you still want to. I do. By the time 9 p.m. hit, the storm was close. Wind picking up, first drops of rain hitting the concrete. She arrived at 9:45 anyway, hair already damp from the walkover, eyes wide. We don't have to do this, I said. I want to. We got in the water, started the lesson. Then the storm hit. Rain hammered the metal roof. Lightning cracked close enough to feel it in your teeth. Thunder shook the windows. Monica panicked, grabbed me around the neck, chest-deep water, her breath hot against my cheek. I've got you. You're safe. She didn't let go. We were face to face, breathing hard. The world outside drowned in noise. I almost kissed her. Instead, I leaned my forehead against hers. Gentle, steady, both of us shaking. We should get out, I whispered. We stumbled out of the pool, wrapped in towels, sat on the deck, shoulders touching through damp terry cloth. The storm raged. We didn't talk, just sat there, feeling the weight of what we hadn't done. Then headlights cut through the glass. A car slowed outside the clubhouse. Security lights flicked on. We both went still. The car crept forward, paused at the pool entrance. Greg's sedan. Monica's hand found mine under the towel, squeezed once. Hard. The car moved on, toward the house. We exhaled together. Then the door rattled. Luis stepped, inside. Soaked, holding a forgotten water bottle. He froze when he saw us. Monica in a towel, me beside her. Pool still lit. Oh, hey, just forgot something. We were inspecting storm damage, Monica said quickly. Too quickly. Luis nodded slow. Right, storm damage. He grabbed the bottle, left without another word. Monica stood, pulled the cover up tight. I have to go. She slipped out the side exit before I could respond. I locked up alone, hands shaking. The next morning the pool felt different. Luis was quiet, watching. Mrs. Klein stopped me to ask about unsafe late-night use and electricity costs. I saw lights, heard voices during the storm. Board-approved inspections, ma'am. She didn't look convinced. That evening, I found an email from Monica. Formal, copied to the pool manager. After-hours inspections are complete. I will be unavailable for further sessions due to out-of-town family commitments. The next morning, an envelope in my mailbox. Next month's rent, already credited. A handwritten note on expensive cardstock. Consider this a thank you and a goodbye. M. I stood in the driveway, holding the note, smelling faint perfume on the paper, the cream cover-up, her gold bangles, the way she said my name in the water. All of it, gone. Monica didn't come to the pool for a week. By Monday, the chair she used to sit in stayed empty. By Wednesday, I knew her schedule better than my own class roster. I timed my breaks around when she used to arrive, watched the gate, checked the parking lot. Nothing. Luis made comments, small ones, testing. Board lady disappeared. Guess the inspections are done, huh? Guess so. You good, man? Yeah, fine. I wasn't fine. Thursday night, Luis dragged me to a bar outside the gates. Cheap beer, sports on TV, grad students and construction workers. No HOA rules. He got 3 beers in and leaned back. Look, I won't be the one to say anything, but you need to keep things professional from now on. You get me? I get you. Good, because Mrs. Klein already asked me about the lights, and Greg Harris is the kind of guy who ruins people quietly. I nodded, drank my beer, felt the trap closing. The next afternoon, Monica finally appeared at the pool. With Greg, he was on his phone, expensive polo, designer sunglasses. She wore a structured sundress. No swimsuit, hair pulled back severe. They walked past my stand. Greg didn't look up. Monica didn't look up. I watched them cross the deck to the clubhouse. Watched Greg hold the door. Watched it close behind them. Luis whistled low. That's the wife, huh? Yeah. She looks miserable. He wasn't wrong. I started timing my shifts to avoid her. Came early, left late, took the long way home. But sometimes I'd see her walking from the house to her car. We'd exchange the smallest nods. Landlord and tenant, nothing more. The distance was professional, appropriate, suffocating. Tiana showed up one afternoon, without Monica. She ordered an iced tea at the snack bar, sat at a table near the stand, made small talk about the heat, then casual as anything. You seen Monica around? Not much. She's been quiet lately. Tiana watched my face. You two get along okay? As landlord and tenant? Fine, no complaints. She nodded slow. Didn't believe me. That night I heard raised voices through my open window, muffled, distant. Monica's steady tone, Greg's harder edge. I caught fragments. Donors, optics, neighbors talking. My name never came up, but I felt it hanging there anyway. Around midnight, I looked out. Monica stood alone in the kitchen, leaning on the counter, staring at nothing. The sprinklers kicked on. Tick, tick, tick. She turned off the light. The house went dark. I lay in bed. Both of us alone, 50 feet and a world apart. The HOA meeting was mandatory for pool staff. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. I showed up in a polo and jeans. Felt underdressed immediately. The clubhouse was packed. Residents in business casual. The board at a long table up front. Monica at the center. Composed. Perfect posture. Greg beside her in a suit. Mrs. Klein down the row. Tiana in the audience. Luis and I sat in the back. They covered maintenance budgets, safety reports, upcoming events. Then Mrs. Klein raised her hand. I'd like to address concerns about after-hours pool usage. My stomach dropped. I've observed lights on late at night. Voices, possible unauthorized access. She looked directly at me. It's a liability issue. The room went quiet. Monica didn't hesitate. I requested after-hours inspections following the storm, electrical safety, filtration checks. Staff were following board directives. And the voices? I was present for several inspections. Any voices you heard were mine and the lifeguards as we reviewed facility protocols. Mrs. Klein's mouth thinned. I see. Greg leaned forward. My wife's judgment on safety matters is beyond question. If there are further concerns, bring them to her directly, in writing. The message was clear. Drop it. Mrs. Klein sat back, defeated. After the meeting, residents milled around. I stayed in the hallway, hoping Monica might. She walked past with Tiana. Nodded once, said in a perfectly neutral tone, "Good night, Mr. Cole." That was it. I drove home feeling like I'd been erased. The next week I tried to move on, took extra shifts, taught kids swim lessons, joked more with Luis, even went out with a bartender who'd been flirting with me at the place outside the gates. She was nice, funny, uncomplicated. But halfway through the date, my mind drifted. To the pool at night, to Monica's chair, to the cream cover-up. The bartender noticed. "You're not really here, are you?" Sorry. It's cool, but maybe figure out where you actually want to be first. I drove home alone. Luis put in his notice that week. I'm done with this gated community shit. Too much drama. Too many people watching. Yeah. You should think about it too, man. This place'll eat you alive if you let it. Monica came to the pool once that week. Simple dress, sat farther from the stand than usual, eyes on her phone the whole time. We didn't interact. But when I locked up that night, I saw her car drive slowly past the clubhouse. Her face turned toward the pool building for just a second. Then she accelerated away. The next evening, I finished a solo dinner in my apartment, cleaned up, sat on my bed scrolling my phone. A soft thump at the door. I opened it. Nobody there, just Monica's cream cover-up, folded neatly on the mat, her board keycard tucked in the pocket. No note. I picked it up, held it to my face. Chlorine, fabric softener, faint perfume. Every night by the pool. Every lesson. Every almost. All of it wrapped in this piece of fabric. I sat on my bed with it in my lap. Thought about marching to the main house, knocking, demanding answers. Instead, I hung it on the single hook by my door. Placed the keycard on the table next to my wallet. Then I turned on my porch light. Left the blinds half open. I didn't call it an invitation. But I didn't call it closure either. Nothing happened the first night. Or the second. Monica came to the pool the day after I found the cover-up. With Tiana. Later, with Greg. She wore casual clothes, watched kids splash, never looked at my stand. Tiana glanced from Monica to the empty deep-end chair with a knowing expression. Luis gave his 2 weeks' notice officially, asked about my plans. Maybe moving closer to campus. Maybe? Yeah, maybe. I didn't sound convinced. That night I went through the motions, reading, grading papers, trying to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps on gravel. I held my breath. A shadow moved at the bottom of my stairs. I opened the door. Monica stood on the 3rd step. Leggings, oversized t-shirt, no makeup, no jewelry, hair loose. She didn't come up, just sat. Left space between us. I couldn't keep the cover up, she said quietly. Or the key card. Because keeping them meant what? Meant I wanted to use them again. We talked in low voices. Greg asleep 50 yards away. The neighborhood dark except for scattered porch lights. I left them because I needed to give back the part of myself that got tangled up in those nights, she continued. I don't want secrets that require key cards anymore. So what do you want? She looked at her hands. I don't know. That's the problem. I sat on the top step. Close enough to hear her breathe. Far enough to keep the distance honest. I've been replaying everything, I admitted. Wondering if I crossed a line. We stood on it together. The line was crossed the moment I felt more at home in the pool with you than in my own kitchen. Silence. Long and heavy. I can't ask you to leave him, I said. I know. And you can't ask me to stay in this apartment, pretending you're just my landlord. I know. We sat there, complicated and unresolved. At one point, our shoulders almost touched. We both felt it. Neither moved closer. Neither pulled away. Monica took the keycard from the railing where I'd set it. Our fingers brushed for half a second. You'll still be at the pool, right? She asked. During the day? Yeah. As dawn started to lighten the sky, she stood, looked up from the bottom step. This doesn't have an ending, does it? I don't think so. She walked back to the house. The sprinklers shut off. The yard went quiet. I watched until she disappeared inside. The next morning I went to work exhausted but clear-headed. Monica arrived mid-afternoon, sat in her old chair. This time her gaze wasn't heavy with questions. It was softer, steadier. I gave her a neutral nod from the stand. She returned a small smile, then actually read her book. The tension shifted, from what if to we know. Later that week, I overheard Tiana and Monica at the clubhouse. "You put it away, didn't you?" "I put it on a high shelf." "Good. Keep it there." Neither of them named what it was, but I knew. I started looking at apartments closer to campus, opened listings, filled out half an application. But every time I got close to submitting, I'd glance at the hook by my door. The cream cover-up was gone now. Monica had taken it back after our porch talk. The empty hook felt like loss and relief tangled together. The end of summer pool party was loud and bright and crowded. Kids everywhere. Music, food, decorations strung across the deck. I worked the event in full lifeguard mode. Announcements, whistle, helping coordinate setup. Monica moved through the crowd with her bored, president confidence. Greg showed up late, worked the room, shook hands with donors. Mrs. Klein patrolled the snack tables like a prison guard. Monica and I barely interacted. Too many eyes. But small moments carried weight. Her handing me a stack of towels in front of other board members. Our fingers brushing for half a second. History invisible to everyone else. Then a kid slipped at the shallow end. Head hit the concrete edge. Went under briefly. I dove in, pulled him up, got him to the side. Parents panicking. Monica was there instantly. Towel around the boy. Calm voice. Steady hands. Organizing. Reassuring. We worked together. Professional. Competent. Human. The crisis passed. The boy was fine. Scared, but okay. That evening, as the party wound down and the sun set behind the gates, Monica approached me in front of several board members. "Thank you for keeping our kids safe this summer." Her tone was professional. Her eyes said something else. "Just doing my job, Mrs. Harris." We stood a few feet apart, framed by tiki lights and the hum of the filter settling back into routine. Later, Mrs. Klein walked past and said, loud enough for others to hear, "Such a dedicated young man. We're lucky to have him." The rumors were dead. We'd been reframed as responsible adults doing responsible things. It should have felt like a win. Instead, it felt like a door closing. The last official week of pool season arrived fast. I made my decision, printed a formal lease termination notice, walked up to the main house in broad daylight. Knocked. Monica answered. Greg was on a work call in the background. I handed her the paper. She read it carefully. Face neutral. "You're moving closer to campus." "Yeah. We'd be happy to keep you as a tenant, but I understand." Greg called from the other room. "Who is it?" "The tenant, giving notice?" "Fine, whatever." Outside, away from his voice, Monica asked quietly, "Is this because of all this? Or because your life is getting bigger?" "Both." We stood in the driveway, the sprinklers ticking, the neighborhood perfectly manicured and hollow. "Some summers mark you more than others," she said. "Yeah, they do." She returned my copy of the notice. Our hands met. I squeezed once, gentle. She let it happen, then pulled away. No hug, no kiss, just that single loaded contact. "Take care of yourself, Ethan." "You too, Monica." I walked back to my apartment, climbed the lifeguard stand for my last weekend shift, looked down at the water, at Monica in her usual chair, feeling the weight of lasts. A few weeks later, the leaves on the street trees started to turn. I'd moved into a small apartment near campus. Cheap furniture, quiet roommates, no gated community rules. But I kept the weekend pool shifts, the money helped. And maybe I wasn't ready to let go completely. I biked back into the neighborhood on a cool Saturday, past my old garage apartment, someone else's car in the spot now. The big house looked the same from the outside. I didn't know what was happening inside anymore. At the pool, Things were quieter. Off-season, a handful of regulars doing laps. Monica arrived alone. Simple cardigan. Book. Hair down. She chose her old chaise near the deep end, the one where it all started. I nodded from the stand. She nodded back. Our eyes locked for a moment. This time I looked away first. Deliberately. Professionally. Blew my whistle. Scanned the water. Did my job. Some people don't walk out of your life dramatically. They don't slam doors or burn bridges or leave you with closure. They just move a few chairs over, physically, emotionally, until you feel every inch between you as much as you once felt the pull. Monica came to the pool most Saturdays after that. Always alone, always with a book, always in the same chair. I stayed on the stand, watched the water, did my job. We were careful, appropriate, kind. But sometimes, when the pool was empty and I was locking up, I'd catch the smell of chlorine on my shirt and remember her weight in my hands. The storm, the forehead touch, the porch conversation at dawn. What we had was an almost, not a mistake, not a regret, just an almost. And some almosts stay with you longer than the things that actually happen, because your heart fills in all the blanks. The last time I saw her that season, it was late October. The pool was closing for winter. Final weekend. She showed up in jeans and a sweater, sat in her chair even though the water was already covered. I was coiling ropes, stacking chairs, shutting things down. When I passed her chair, she looked up. "You still in the neighborhood?" "Just on weekends, for work." "Good job. With the kids, the safety stuff, all of it." "Thanks." A pause. Long enough to hurt. "Take care, Ethan." "You too, Monica." She stood, adjusted her bag, walked toward the gate, stopped, looked back once. I was already on the other side of the deck, pretending not to notice. The gate clicked shut. The sprinklers in the distance started their evening cycle. Tick, tick, tick. I finished locking up, biked home through streets I used to walk every day. And I realized, some people don't leave. They just move a few chairs over. And suddenly you feel every inch between you. That night, I sat in my new apartment. Small kitchen, cheap furniture, no chlorine smell. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I knew. Some nights I still sit by the pool, even when it's closed. I stared at the message for a long time. Typed, "Some nights I still smell chlorine and think of you." Deleted it. Typed, "I know." Deleted that too. Finally just sent. "Me too." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Not every almost is a mistake, no. Some are a mirror. The dots stopped. No more messages came. I set my phone down, looked out the window at a city I was slowly learning to call home. Somewhere, in a gated community I'd left behind, Monica was sitting in her big, empty kitchen. Or maybe on a chaise by a covered pool. And we were both wondering the same thing. If paying attention to who really sees you is the start of change. Not always to leave, but to finally be honest about the life you're living. Not every almost is a mistake. Some are a mirror,